Hey, welcome everyone to the first Advocacy Forum of the year of Cycle Toronto. It's been about 2 years since we last did this, so it's really exciting. My name is Sonam. I'm the engagement coordinator at Cycle Toronto. I joined the organization about a year ago, and I work in the fundraising, advocacy, and partnerships portfolio. I'm excited to be here. Personally, a big part of the reason why this session is so important to me is because I'm a new cyclist who started riding in the city about a year ago. This happened because I had access to resources to buy a second-hand bike, and I had friends who could teach me how to ride a bike and had support like Cycle Toronto to be able to get on my bike. But not everyone has the resources, the community support, or the confidence to start riding on the streets, many of which are dangerous by design. Protected bike lanes, which are an important piece of the puzzle, aren't enough to get people on their bikes. And there are a multitude of factors that go into getting people riding. We also need to recognize the inequities that still persist in the city urban planning systems, and that have led to a car-dependent culture. But advocates and leaders like our panelists over here today are trying to make that change. And I really meant up for that. And today we're joined by our community partners who I've had the immense pleasure of collaborating with in the past year. And they create unique spaces and programs within the communities that give people the supportive tools that they need to get riding with confidence. So please join me in giving them a warm round of applause first.
Oh, great. Sorry, your name?
Sona.
Oh, yes, I think I get emails from you.
Yes, you did. Yeah, so I'm gonna go quickly introduce everyone and maybe tell us some more about the organization. So this is Najia Zewari, the co-founder of the Women's Cycling Network.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for my voice. So in a way, I lost it a bit because of being had some problem with my sore throat. I'm so happy to be here, and this is my third advocacy forum with Cycle Toronto. And each time I'm here, I felt that it gave me the platform of more empowerment as a. I still consider myself a newcomer, despite I'm here for 8+ years in Canada, but still I have to be like maybe 50 years to still name myself a full Canadian. So this Cycle Toronto provides this platform for me. So about Women's Cycling Network, I've initiated through organic process of women demands to look after their physical and mental health. And cycling was one of their requests and demand, and they were mostly newcomers in our community to maintain the area. And the wellness study that I was as a care leader, I tried to facilitate this process. And it was 2017, and now I could see it is almost 6 years. 6 years went like this, and we come with a lot of achievement, with so many things that I will discuss later on and give more briefing. So this is a short summary. Started with 15 women, and now yesterday I learned that the number of our members is reaching to 300. So this is something that we are very proud of what we are doing. Thank you.
So sorry, just a brief pause if we could try and fix the audio for our online participants. I'm just gonna maybe put the laptop here, if everyone's okay with that. And maybe just bring it back to the beginning. I don't know what the video is gonna look like from here. Yeah, I can also see if we can, oh, there we go. Now it's on the screen. Is that better for everyone on Zoom?
Can everyone hear us now?
Amazing. Yay.
On our participants.
Oh, I've got it just so it's on the PowerPoint. So we're perfect.
Let's face it on the participants so they can see them talking, not the slideshow. That's kind of-
It's just that if I flip it, it's just on, like, then I'd have to twist it manually. So I think this is good. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Maggie. Okay, so the next person that we are going to introduce is Nazia. Nazia is a community health worker for the Hijabs and Helmets program at Access Lines. Nazia, can you tell us a little more about your program?
Of course. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Nazia Abdellah. I'm working as a community health worker for Hijabs and Helmets program with Access Alliance. We all good? You cannot hear it? How about now?
You can't hear?
Not working?
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear now?
That's better? Okay, great.
Okay. So hello again and good afternoon. My name is Nazia. I'm working as a community health worker for Hijabs and Helmets program at Access Alliance. Hijabs and Helmet was launched in May 2019 in collaboration of MLSE and Access Alliance and Scarborough Cycles. We developed this program because there was a clear need of women cyclists in the community. Ladies like me wearing hijab, there were no representation of such cyclists in the community. So we have to come up with this group. We created this group so that we can empower hijabi women to safely and inclusively ride a bike on the road. We offer many programs to support anti-Islamophobia, their healthy lifestyle, and also we empower them to ride a bike safely and freely, just like other people are doing nowadays. So we are offering several programs to our hijabi participants and their allies, including learn to ride workshops, some group rides, and also social clubs so that they can meet with each other on weekly basis and learn new skills while they are riding bike on the weekly basis with us. The good thing about our program, even though it's called Hijabs and Helmets, we welcome everyone. So anyone who wants to ride a bike with our hijabi participants, they are welcome to join our program. Thank you so much for having me. We'll be talking more in details about our work with you folks shortly. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you can pass it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you all? My name is Kwame with the Rexdale Women's Center. I bring you all greetings from the Rexdale Women's Center, from the Rexdale community at Etobicoke North. The Rexdale Women's Center, we work to improve the life of women and their families. It's been in existence for over 30 years. Our ED, Fatima Finipe, started working with the organization as a volunteer when she was in the university. And then she grew into the organization. And today she's been serving in that capacity for, I believe, over 2 decades now. I'm very happy to be part of the Rexdale family. The reason being that we work with newcomers, immigrant, refugee families. We support them in different ways, either as collaborating with them to assist them settle and integrate fully into the Canadian system or the Canadian family, or also helping them in employment issues and other social issues. I work there in the capacity as the programs coordinator in charge of the Community Reduce and Reuse program, which is an initiative of the City of Toronto's Solid Waste Management Division. The program has been in existence for 3 years now. And the bike program, it's fairly a new program at the Rexdale Women's Center, and including the Rexdale community itself. This is the first time that we have a kind of a community bike program where you have women, youth, and adults, even children coming in and access the facility. This is my first time attending this forum, and yes, even though I'm here to make some contribution, it's also a learning curve for me. Like I said, I'm a messenger. I've been sent to deliver a message here and also take something back home. So I hope that during the question and answers session, I'll be able to also gain some knowledge from this session. Thank you.
Kwame and Nazia and Najia. It was great to learn. I'm sure folks were really interested in learning about your organization. We're going to get started with some questions just to guide the discussion and get to know more about your motivations behind what building a cycling culture means to you and the role that it plays in bringing more people in the cycling space in the city, and what that contributes to the advocacy world directly or indirectly as well. So the first question, which is all for all three panelists, is what does building a culture of cycling mean to you? And what does it take to get people interested who maybe never considered cycling attractive? And we can go from Najia to Nazia.
So cycling for women and the culture we came from is a sort of a taboo stigma. So in different ways, the community want to suppress women to sit on a bike. And the reason is maybe it had come from the culture. It is because there is very male-dominated society, and the mobility is a big issue. Women mobility coming out of the home and going somewhere, and cycling is a means, an easy means to go from one location to another one. So for that reason, as to name it, cycle plus culture make a lot of sense to us. The cultural background we came. And I know other cultures, even in Europe or North America, once in a while it was the same situation. But people mentality changed day by day, and a lot of advocates and champions, we have some of them sitting in this room. They paved the way for the rest of the community. They made it possible for us. For the Women Cycling Network, for us, as I said at the beginning, this was a demand. This was an organic process of a number of women, newcomers. They really wanted to bike, and they don't know how to bike. So we start to reach out to different community organizations, such as Cultural Link, Even Free Break, Cycle Program, and others, who has these programs, part of their projects and the organizations, and they help us to move the wheel and how to do balancing, etc., etc. So from the group of 50 women who were member of the Women Wellness Cafe, we expanded to 30 and then to 50 members, and all was living in this Thorncliffe and Flemington area. These women, they built the niche, or they made the niche, and they built the culture of women and cycling and in an exile in another country. And the age was very different, from the age of 21, 22 to 70. So these women, they found that they are feeling differently while they are sitting on a bike. Their family look at them differently. They felt empowered. This was the motivation beyond building the culture of cycling in our neighborhood. And then after finishing and learning, we realized that, well, everybody needs a bike. And how we get a bike to them. In 2019, Gateway Bike Hub was start functioning in my neighborhood. And I learned that they have a program, Earn a Bike. So what we did, we encouraged these women come and learn how to know the mechanic of bike maintenance. And then they will earn a bike. So this was a city project, and the member organizations who supported this project contributed to that. And we had some good colleagues, like I don't want to always name such people, like Ibra was one of them, and she was there to help all these women to know what is the chain, how it is working, and how to fix a brake, and so on. So that those days was 2019, and because our number of members expanded, in a way we built this culture. We have women, have women sitting at the bike, they know how the mechanic of a bike is, and then we thought, okay, let's set a vision and a mission for us to promote this for all those women still don't know about what opportunity of bike learning and opportunity of coming together and facilitate or advocate for safe cycling in the neighborhood. As a person, I had the chance to talk about the women in cycling and different events in the city, including Cycle Toronto events, and then they asked me if I could join the Cycle Don Valley Midtown. There's another group of Cycle Toronto who they have wards and they have a ward captain. And for as individual, it was an opportunity for me to learn more. It is not easy. Just biking is not easy. You have to know how to advocate for bike, how to know the system where you are advocating. From there onward, we continue to seek other possibility for women to have a bike. So, and one of our members, so we formed the Women Cycling Network as a grassroots organization, totally voluntarily, no income, people give their time, their energy, and set this organization. So I name it community organization, and still it is volunteer based. We have not paid by anybody, and still people are showing off because of their commitment for women in cycling. So then COVID came, and COVID was another pain for everybody. And one of our members, Holly, she found out about another example used in US in 12 states. And this example was that they provide bike, they organize a bike match program in 12 states of United States. They managed during the time of 2000, about I don't want to forget the figures. So it is about a number. Sorry, give me 1 second. So 163 bike in the US was given to health workers who want to reach to their job, and people who have a bike sitting in their garage, and they donated it over there. So it was an interesting news. And here in our end, there was 50 women who know how to bike, but they don't have any bike in their hands. But when this initiative with generous donors and Toronto, we succeed to have 75 bikes in Toronto and in our Flemington and Turkey area. So if you compare to 12 states of US and only in Toronto, we were very much successful. So we, with our other volunteers, we succeed to have the second year of a bike match program. And at the time, the second year, we had 65 bikes, and 120 women still wait for to get a bike. And we thought, people needs to have a bike, women needs to have a bike, and we should find a way. And our other volunteers from Cycle Don Valley Midtown, Anna, she developed a software program, and this software program made it easy for people to register to have a bike and donate a bike. And this year, so far in 2 months, we distributed 53 bikes, and we expand our partnership. with Gateway Bike Hub, Scarborough Cycle, and Rexdale Women's Center. And now they are managing and coordinating these things. So we did not keep it with that. So we try to expand it, and our dream is to do it throughout Canada, you know, everywhere in Canada. This model should be replicated, and people should have the chance to have a bike. And we noticed that we have about 20 to 20 women are still waiting. So please, if you know somebody, if they have a bike, ask them to register in the system, bike batch women cycling network. So this is how cultural bit. And I don't want to stop here, but I just want to mention very other important. Cultures come with the community, and community to community is another example. When we had a chat with our friends, Shaklu, she's here, and last year we thought, okay, why our own community shouldn't engage in bike riding and fundraising? So our bikeathon project was started last year, and it was a big success last year. The bikeathon was that everybody, if they bike certain loops and kilometers, then they contributed fund to summer camp for children with special needs. And the kickoff was last year, and it was good amount of $7,000 plus that helped the Turtlev Park Autism Network to organize summer camp in the neighborhood and allow families to release for 2 weeks from the pressures that they have from special needs children. And it was a big success. And just recently we kick off the second year of this bike match, and we are expecting from all individuals who are listening to us now to contribute their dollars to manage and a second years of the camp of the autistic children. So I will stop here, and I say how biking and how sitting on the bike culture well, at the same time how we are helping each other through bike. Thank you.
That was really inspiring. Najia, thank you so much for sharing this. When I hear the culture of biking, the acceptance of biking comes to my mind. We should be assuming, or everybody should be engaged in riding a bike just the way they drive a car or walk on the street. We have to provide the community, the support, those people who are not represented in the community or on the road while they are biking. People like me, people like you, they should be more represented in the community to create the bike culture. And how this can happen, in my opinion, the organization, the grassroots organization like Najia's, our organization, our program for Hijabs and Helmets, that can provide that cultural roots to the cycling. That can motivate and provide resources, training, equipment, bikes, helmets. These are the programs that can create that culture of biking. Many of our participants in Hijabs and Helmets program, when they join the program, we always ask them, how did you hear about our program? Most of the time they say, oh, our friend told great stories about their riding journey, or their family members have heard this, or many times this has happened, like we were on the road as a group ride, and people stopped us and came to us and asked, oh, what's this program is all about? We also want to be part of that program. So this representation is very important. We have to create role models among ourselves so that people get inspiration and can be more engaged in riding a bike on the road. Because it's not only economical, it's also helpful for sustainable environment. So yeah, I would definitely support for creating more organization, creating more groups, creating more representation for people like me who wear hijab or Muslim, their allies. They should be more involved into cycling culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you to my colleagues for providing deeper perspective to culture. I think you took it from two different angles. Culture as in the way of life, and culture as in from a very how to put it, like, very political standpoint. And I think those are very two important factors. Like, the question is, why should biking be linked to culture? And this is a story. A friend told me a story, and his view about not biking. Even though I stand to differ, even though I don't agree, I feel there's a need for me to share. And he said, you know, he feels very vulnerable to sit on a bike, to ride. And I said, why? He said, if somebody doesn't like you, right, it's very easy for the person to just knock you off the road. He said, he used the word knock you off the road. So, I mean, if you're in your car, you can knock each other, and everybody will, you know, maybe the car is old. And these days, the older cars are much stronger than new cars. So look, because of my economic situation, I drive an older car, but I can knock a new car. So, but that is quite telling. I mean, it's not something that I would say with laughter. You know, it's something that I would say with a deep sentiment, because we know the importance of biking, not just for pleasure, not just for leisure. It's good for our health. So if there are barriers in biking, of course, there is a need for us to use a platform like this to be able to discuss it. I'm not saying that somebody will just knock you off the road because of the fact that you're riding. But if you are, I was discussing with Holly just a few minutes ago, if we create more bike lanes, okay, and you are in your lane, of course you have that sense of confidence. And right, if somebody should come into your lane, that alone is an offense. But if you're riding and you are, let's say, riding like this morning, I was driving, bike in front of me, I need to go to the other side. Let's say by mistake, something happened. It will be very difficult for even the police to do their work, because then you can see where is the bike lane, where is the street, very close. So there's a need for, even whilst we talk about culture, we also talk about creating that enabling environment for bikers, for even new bikers, or for those who are even trying to conceive the idea of trying to bike, to have that confidence to do that. So that's the angle that I'm coming. There's a need for us to create that inclusiveness, that provide that need of support. There can never be social change without a political government. So therefore, I mean, it's a crayon call to our policymakers to be able to pay special attention to conversations like this, and how to provide support to not just everyone, but to also try to reach out to communities. For example, the community that I am coming from, mostly youth immigrant, refugee community, where biking is very expensive in many ways, either having the money to purchase it, or even fixing it. Until the initiation of the initiative that we started, there was no place around that you can go and fix your bike. So therefore, why would you even decide to bike when it's quite a distance to go to, let's say, North York to go and take a bike? So we started this program, and then now we've seen that a lot that interest have been coming to the space and getting their bikes. But that is not enough. I believe there's a lot that and also have that conversation. Biking should be a mainstream thing where every organization should develop a policy where at least you have a desk to encourage biking, especially within minority communities.
Thank you. I think all three of you touched on very important points that I've also thought about as I started cycling. And this, like especially the barriers that people face when they're cycling, and it differs from community of people across the city, right? I wanted to open the floor. We can go turn by turn. If you also touched on barriers that people face, but if either of you have insights into what are the barriers that are unique barriers that people face in your communities and people that you interact with that to cycling, and what do you think can be done to change that? For example, one you spoke about, talking about like people not feeling safe and like protected infrastructure being there so that people have like designated space, and also about resources and financial resources to be able to purchase bikes. Do you have other barriers that come to mind when people are, getting them on their bikes, or like what are the barriers that you think might exist? We can go turn by turn or
Okay, based on like this 5-6 years of experience, like barriers for women are a lot. Like even if they go out, this is the comments that our members share with us. She wake up early morning, sit on her bike because we had a group bike, morning group bike. And then some of the men around look at them, where are you going? I mean, it was a sort of a strange look to her, and she said, okay, I did my prayer and I'm going to bike, So these are starting from that level is one of the examples. The other barriers is that because biking for some community that they are doing Ubers, they are doing taxi driving and others, and the bike lines that created, they consider as a barrier for them because they cannot stop wherever they want to stop. They used to that way, and they are earning money, and they said, oh, this is considered luxury, and this is, people are not doing biking, why we have this line, etc. These are the comments that we are heard. Still people, the big barrier is that people don't believe on sharing the road. And road for all, these terminology is considered a bit of luxury. Roads is for car and earning money. People commuting from one location to another location. There is a lot of education needs to be done to all community members about impact of cycling on environment, impact of cycling for as a cheap commute means, etc., etc. So there is a lot of problems there to tackle about. The third issue that I notice is at the government level. Sometimes our political representative, community representative, dealing with millions, consider cycling is a headache for them, Forget about cycling, we have a big things to look after, we have to do this train yard, we have to do more highways, and cycling, these maybe poor people use biking, not everyone. So they are not important. The corporate mentality that exists among some of our political leaders is another bias, and we do need to change this. We do need more political representatives who really think or care about everyone, including, for me, even in this my area, even 1%. Why this is important? Because this 1% is a human in this living in this planet and they has all the rights equal to 30 million of Canadians. So there is a lot of barriers and our struggle is big and we have to continue our fight. I think let's see where we will reach.
You really touched on some points that I agree upon.
She needs to speak loudly.
Oh, can you hear me?
Now it's
Okay, I'll be
fine.
speaking a little bit louder. So sorry about that. So barriers in adapting the cycling culture is like really vital, and I could speak for many hours explaining all those barriers that our women are facing currently. Because I will give you a short example for Hijabs and Helmets participants that since our organization provide many support to them, like we provide them bike, we provide them with helmets so that they can go along with us on a ride, we provide them different training, we support them with some bike rides so that they can feel confident and comfortable while they are in the community riding a bike. But if you ask them, are you willing to go or are you ready to go on your own now and ride a bike in the city? Often the answer is not yes. They are still a little hesitant because of their safety concerns and the fear of riding in the traffic. Cities doing some amazing work for creating bike lanes, but this is not enough because these bike lanes are not connected with each other. You see some bike lanes on some roads, and what about other? You cannot stop in between the road and try to figure out, okay, now what to do? Where should I go next? Imagine a car driver, you are driving a car on a street and from nowhere you see a wall, a brick. What would you do? Yes, the same happens with the people who are trying to ride a bike on the road. They want to adopt this culture and they want to make impact on their life and on others and on the environment as well, but they are not supported all the time. The work is happening, but it's very slow. You have to be fast. These plans should be implemented. We're making plans for so many years. Okay, we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing that, we're going to be bringing some strong infrastructure. We just talk, we do not see action in front of us. So this is one of the barriers that I believe impacts many of the cyclists. They want to ride. They have those equipment, they have those tools. We, as an organization, the program, we are there to support them, but the infrastructure is not ready to support them yet. So we need to work on that and provide, because as my friend was saying, that the lane structure is not defined here. A lot of people even don't know. If you ask them, okay, so if you have to pass these in between these lanes, what should you do? They look at us and they look for the answer from us as a supporter or the provider that for Hijabs and Helmets program. They don't know what to do in this situation. So this is one of another barrier that people are facing to ride a bike on the road. So yeah, with that, I'll just cannot push enough, I cannot support, I cannot say more about how important it is to create an infrastructure, supportive infrastructure that support people of all skill level, people of all ability. It should be that kind of culture, that kind of infrastructure on the street.
When you keep speaking last, you summarize what everybody says. makes it very easy because then I don't have to think. And it's like a primary student, and when the student was asked a question, and I said, oh, the answer was the answer that my friend gave. That's just right. So yeah, as you rightly said, the barriers are there. You can look at individual barriers themselves, and then the institutional barriers. And sometimes the individual barriers is as a result of institutional barriers. Right? We are a nation of law. Okay? So when you feel that you have the support of the institution, psychologically it builds your self-confidence. Yeah, when I talk of the institution, I'm talking about infrastructure, which I think we've discussed that. And once you know the right infrastructures are there, you feel confident when you are right. So that means you're able to break that barrier because you feel that you have the support system behind. So that is the relationship between the two. And even with again, looking at the institutional barriers, we are looking at the support system as in financial to support organizations like the Women's Cycling Network. Fortunately, the Rexdale Women's Center, we have subscribed to the Women's Cycling Network. And like I said, in my open monologue, we are learning, we are crawling. Our community, the Rexdale community, I hate to make comparisons, but I have to, as compared to this part of the city, we don't really see us doing a lot of biking. We are getting there. Just recently, they created a bike lane, like signal, I think about 2-3 kilometers, which is encouraging. It's better than 4. At least I see a lot of young folks these days when I'm going to bed. I see them riding because see that they feel that sense of confidence. We need to continue with the process. It's not like the government cannot. We know this country. It's a blessing to be in Canada, to be honest. And we know our policymakers can do it. We just as groups and as individuals, we have to continue to kind of advocate. Freedom doesn't come by just sitting down and saying freedom. That is basically what using a platform like this to kind of echo our sentiments and also show appreciation, support. A little bit massage their ego, Say, oh yeah, but I did this for you, never mentioned. Yes, I'm giving that recognition, but we can do more. And organizations need the support, like I said, work that the women's need to be highlighted so that we can get some support to be able to break that chain, kind of bridge that gap between the individual self-confidence and then the support system.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like our audience online and offline has a lot to think about, especially with the municipal elections coming up. There's a lot of action needed there. I'm gonna turn to quickly also do some individual questions for folks, because I'm sure diving deep into what you particularly do and your individual experience is also very valuable. I will give about 3 minutes to each speaker, given that we are, I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time, but about 3 minutes for everyone to answer this question. So for Najia, you're the first question. The Overlay project, for folks who don't know, the Overlay, Renewing Overlay Boulevard is this project that's coming up, or it's a proposal by the city to improve infrastructure on Overlay Boulevard and John Mills and Boulevard as well. And it's, protected intersections and like enough space for people who walk and cycle and drive to share the road. As folks said, the roads need to be shared and not be dangerous by design. So for Najia, the Overlay project with Mark Arno students, Women's Cycling Network, it was a success because of really grassroots efforts. Can you tell us a bit more about what you did and the lessons you learned from people trying to advocate for better infrastructure?
The Overleaf project it is a chapter of learning for me as individual, because when I attended weekly Overleaf consultation meeting with other friends, co-captain up the words, it was like every night I learned something every night. So Cycle Toronto facilitator, like Kevin was a very good facilitator at that time. He organized all these events and there was messages, meeting, overly project, overly meeting. So in this overly meeting, there was an example of how community could impact the system, how they could raise their voice for a positive change for everyone. For us, Women Cycling Network, we experienced passing this bridge. And at the beginning, we didn't notice how good or bad it is because we didn't knew about how roads should be. You know, it was just our will could rule, that was all for us. But then when we had the discussions and the meetings, we realized that there is a lot of shortcomings and problems. And then at those meetings, personally, I thought that we should see who are the road users, cyclists, who are the most. And we noticed that the students of the schools are the majority of road users in this area compared to like ad hoc use of the roads by others. So pedestrians and as well as cyclists. So what we agreed that involve students who are the beneficiaries, direct beneficiaries, day-to-day beneficiaries of this bridge, Overly Bridge. And we approached, not me, but our group decided to approach Mormono School, one of the bigger schools. And we had a very good champion, Hafiz Alawi, and he did a great job of engaging with other students. And this was expanded to good teachers like Jezel. She did a great contribution to this STEM. And all of them, they will become our voice in the system here in Mormono School. And they did a design, and that was a fantastic contribution of the students owning this bridge, seeing that this is my bridge, this is I'm using, I belong to this community, and I want to see these changes that benefit me and the rest of the community. So Overly was one of this, and then the consultation process, and city approaches and ask for our opinions. And the last one was our, like one of the good champion is Shaklo. She designed a cake of Overly Bridge, and the city was very much impressed by our contribution, community contribution, community ownership of infrastructures, and it was so engaged, the consultation, that we all should be proud of who we are as a community in Tulkalip and Flemington. So I'm telling you, so I learned how our road should be from Overly Bridge as individual, and also learn how the system are working, learn a lot from Kevin and other members of the group that we had a discussion on the Overly Bridge. But the Overly Bridge consultation is not one day or one discussion of city council, but this is like, I don't know, like we can see 50s or hundreds of the meetings, weekly meetings. Yeah, we have Jeff and we have Holly, and they were all in those meetings every night, every week, once in a week, every month of the week. Okay, that is all how I engage, and I hope I'm not gone beyond 3 minutes. Okay, thank you.
Question for you. Maha Mohammed, who was Maha Mohammed, who was a previous coordinator of Hijabs and Helmets, said that as the group goes bigger, we are more and more visible. And in the end, the goal is no one will pay attention to us anymore. Like, it's just a part of your daily normal life. How do you see Hijabs and Helmets and other groups achieving that goal?
wonderful question. So Hijabs and Helmets program started with a very handful number of participants in the community. We engaged them, we outreached, we connected with them, we invited them to come to the center because the first concern was, oh, we don't know how to ride a bike or we do not have a bike either. But we provide them with resources, with training, with opportunities to ride together so that they can feel motivated. So bringing them to the Access Alliance, Scarborough Cycles, Hijabs and Helmets, we try to create a safe environment for them. Not just, they were coming there not just for learning how to ride a bike, but also for engaging with other community members. Most of our participants of our program are newcomers to Canada. They don't know what's the structure of the road. They don't know what's the culture of Canada. So that was their first opportunity to explore Canada, meeting new people, engaging with other programs. They were referred to different programming through the Hijabs and Helmets program. So when they joined the program, they became visible in the community. We were able to attract more people in the community. Whenever we were going on the ride, people asked what this group is all about. We want to be part of that. We want to have that fun time for ourselves as well. So a lot of people joined us and there was like, now we are serving. Every week we are going on a ride with more than 25 participants every week. And we are still registering new clients every week for our group rides, which clearly shows the success of our program. The people are ready to go outside if we are providing them enough resources, if we are supporting them with the training that they need. Because women, and especially women from hijab wearing women that faces many Islamophobic concern and that they do not feel supported even in their homes. So this is one of their opportunity to come out, and live and enjoy their life. So we support them, we provide them resources and stuff. And this is how our program is expanding. I would like to tell you a story about a recent, one of our group participants. That was new participant that joined our program. And they were really hesitant to join the ride along with us. They were saying, I'm wearing hijab, I do not feel comfortable because of their past experience. They were not happy. They were not willing to go out there. But after seeing some of her friends that they were going out, she got some confidence and she went with us. When she came back, I went to her and asked her, so how was the experience? Did you like it? So she was so happy to share that, oh, I didn't see any turning heads while I was riding a bike on the road, which means that, as we said, that we want that culture, that we feel belong. People are not looking at us and seeing somebody who does not belong to this community or who does not belong to this cycling culture. So I'm really glad to share that we have achieved one of that target to engage more hijab wearing women in cycling culture.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think visibility and being visible in public spaces is very important, especially for women, Muslim women, Hijabi women. It's something that's not historically represented, even in the cycling advocacy space. And I think that's changing a lot now with, we're sitting on a panel discussing about cycling advocacy. Cycling advocacy did not look like this even, I would say 10 years ago. So yeah, it's changing a lot. Kwame, question for you. So aside in a global your work is both global with SI, partnering with organizations in different continents, and hyperlocal with the Rexdale Women's Center, offering community services to specific areas in the city. Could you explain why it's important to think both on a large and small scale when you're trying to be a change maker? It's a big question, but
Wow. No, 1 minute I found myself in Africa, and the next minute, like I'm in Toronto and somewhere in Toronto. It's always good to create that connection. The world is a global village, and anything that happens in Canada here, directly or indirectly, affects other countries in terms of decision making. Don't go far. Just look at COVID. COVID taught us that we are all the same. So if you are making policy in your country, you should think of how that policy can affect other countries, directly or indirectly. So, and my experience being involved in other projects outside the borders of Canada has taught me that. I forgot to mention the role of the African Climate Action Initiative. And I think sometimes you forget, but one question can kind of elicit that answer. So the African Climate Action Initiative is an organization that was formed here in Canada by African diasporans. The idea is that some of us came with our experience. I came to Canada at the heels of working in government, at the heels of having the opportunity to work for two international organizations, at the heels of being at the United Nations to work on policy documents for young people. So you bring all this experience, and also you bring your civilization. Our representation here is a representation of civilization. And that's what makes Canada, especially in Toronto, Ontario, a very rich place to be, because you meet with people from diverse backgrounds. And if you're somebody that you love to listen and you don't judge by just people's appearance, you will learn a lot. Because I've learned more even here on this platform about hiking and barriers, women, that I've done. I'm proud to be in this meeting. So the African Climate Initiative has played a very key role in our bike program. The city of Toronto, as I mentioned earlier, the Solid Waste Division, created the Community Reduce and Reuse program. And then the African Climate Initiative found the niche to come in with a bike program, even though that part of the Community Reduce and Reuse program, biking, encouraging community biking to reduce carbon footprint, or to reduce the amount of items that goes into the landfill. But then the African Climate Action Initiative came in with another angle, where you encourage people from African descent or Africans living in Toronto to also encourage the biking process, because then you're able to reach out to them, relate to them easily, and maybe other cultures. So that is what actually has engineered the bike program in Etobicoke. And I need to credit the African Climate Action Initiative for that purpose. We also strive under partnership. One of the areas that I enjoy most is partnership and networking. And the partnership from the property management, where currently we are housing over 150 bikes, very old, some are very depleted shape, some are just parts. The space was given to us, that particular space was given to us by the property management, and for free. And this is a private organization, and you expect that whatever you do, the focus is what? To get money. But because of the importance that they see us attaching to the program, they've given the space for us for free. And for the past 2 years, we've been using that space for free. to be able to encourage. I don't know how long that is going to last, but I hope that if they are watching, they will see that we are encouraging and giving them that commendation for coming on board to support this. I don't know if I've answered the question right, but in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that there is always that connection between the local and the global. So in our decision making, we should take into consideration that Canada is a land of immigrants. So immigrants come here, they don't only come for education, they also come for civilization. The more we create that inclusive environment, the more we make this country much richer.
I love that answer. Sorry, that was my reaction. Yeah, I think it's very important to think about how your perspective coming from another country and being an immigrant shapes what your approach would be in shaping your community here, and that perspective, the knowledge of the education and and what you bring from your own country over here. I think that's really important, and it shouldn't go unnoticed. Because climate action is not unique to North America. It's something that, like, countries where I come from as well, like, if people are doing action every day and it goes unnoticed compared to what the action is in countries like Canada and Western countries. So I think I think it's organizations like ASAIA. This is the last question that we have. So it's going to be the one after this. Yeah. So this is for all three panelists. Our city has ambitious active transportation targets to achieve its climate action goals for equity and reconciliation, and envisions zero goal of zero road deaths and serious injuries on our streets. What kind of investments do you think are needed in your communities to get there? Especially the discussion that we've had about political engagement, and how do you also get people to be politically engaged, like from your perspective as well?
More voices needed, and more community engagement and more awareness. So this is the three main things that could play role in more safe roads for cyclists and pedestrians. And definitely infrastructure is changing, but sometimes I'm noticing that we are learning very late about the design of the roads, about how things, what things are planned, and the consultation process. Sometimes it's not very, to be honest, very transparent and very inclusive. Sometimes it is okay, but sometimes it is not a good one. So what my recommendation is that, we should think that these cities are for human, and without human, everything is nothing, And COVID showed to us all road without cars, all building without human. And human is the core things for any service, any infrastructure, any things on the earth. So why the policymakers are not considering people's voice, people's demands and needs for this change? My suggestion is that any infrastructure plan should not be only for investment. It should meet the needs of the community, and it should be consulted with the community. And this community today is here, but tomorrow the other community will come to the same location. But all are human, and the human needs should be responded for any infrastructure change and safety for all, not safety of the car. Not should be only insurance company become more rich and people life will go away with no reason. I'm talking about political.
Yeah, as I've discussed earlier and shared with you about the bike lane structure, I think the infrastructure is important. It's very important. We just had a recently bike lane addition, Danford, which is right, it's like right, we're very close to our APOD, access point at Danford. The west side is completed. What about east? The people coming from the west side, they can't use bike lane. What about those people who wants to come from the east side? There's no bike lane for them. So there are plans in place, but this needs to be implemented as well. Infrastructure for sure is very important. We have to support that. We have to have more involvement from political point of view. Along with that, there are some non-infrastructure things that needs to be considered. One of them is education. So education, not only for the bicyclists, like it shouldn't be only for the one way. We should not be the only one who should be considering all of those rules while going on the lanes. Education for everyone who are using roads, riders, drivers, even pedestrians, they should be educated what bike lanes are, how to use them, how to pass those lines, and how to use signals, hand signals, how to interpret them, especially because not a lot of people are aware about all those hand signals that we cyclists are using, right? Not even I would quote example of myself when I wasn't riding on the road. I didn't know what are those hand signals. So I can relate to just as a common person in the community. We don't know what these rules are. We are creating those infrastructure, but we are not educating our society. We are not educating our people how to use that infrastructure. So this is very important. Along with that, we should spend some more money on the programs to create awareness about the importance of cycling. We should be creating more grassroots organization. We should be having some more programs like ours, like others, that can support the cyclist who wants to go out so that they have more awareness and they can avoid those accidents that happens every now and then. I would also want to raise a point here, like we should be making that cycling module part of our curriculum so that every child who goes to the school, they learn it. So mandate should be a mandatory course for that because they are the future, right? They will be the one who's going to be riding on the streets. They're going to be the one who's going to be using that permanent infrastructure. So we should be spending some money for that reason, to create awareness and to make it mandatory in all boards, in all curriculum. Or maybe we should be dedicating a module in the gym class, right? We can accommodate soccer, we can accommodate basketball. Why can't bicycling, right? So that's what I would have to say. Thank you so much.
Those are very great points. And say something about children and education. That is spot on. And just this Sunday, I was out there with my kids and drive through. And for the first time, I normally did all that one this, and I said I want shake vanilla. Right? And they were laughing. Apparently, it's vanilla shake. So, and I got it wrong. It's not my culture, you know. So when I go to Subway and I said, "What do you want?" I asked the person, "Give me anything that you think is good for me," because so many things that I'm not used to that. So kids have a way of impacting our lives at home. So when you empower them, you have a way of changing the dynamics of the way things are done. So it's very important that start the conversation from them, leave them out of the equation. When kids are empowered, especially the kids that are in this country, they can make changes. So that's a very good point. The other point is cycling has the impact that it has for the environment. Okay, I've been to some forums. My first very important platform on learning about climate change at the deeper insight was a meeting organized by former US Vice President Al Gore. That was very telling. But if you pay particular attention to the conversation that goes around through the lenses of policymakers in reducing greenhouse gas, the whole narrative is electric cars, or solar energy, solar panel. Hardly do you hear them talking about biking, right? Hardly. You always hear about electric car, because that's where the investments are. Right? I just want to have my Rexdale woman cap on, so I don't want to sound political. Otherwise, I have to answer to my boss, because we are non-political. But again, like I said earlier on, you can never talk about social change without a political will of government. Apparently, this is owned by, or maybe the government funds a certain percentage in where we are now. So that many influences are. So we need to change the narrative. Okay, we need to improve the narrative so that when we are talking about climate change and we are looking at alternative solutions to fossil fuel, we should look at biking. We should make it a topic and not only focus on electric cars. Because again, electric cars, you know who's going to benefit. What more is a big corporation. So even in that conversation, there's always that interest. And biking is left out of the equation. So there's a need for us to do that and also encourage, and like I said about education, what it means to carbon footprint. We cannot use public transport, electric public transport. Biking is an alternative. It's good for your health. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your heart. We need to push the health component to it, because somebody will, especially myself, I'll be blunt here. I bike because I feel it's good for my heart. When I'm biking, I'm paying attention to how well that is, not the journey, but for my health. Another person can also look at it from another angle. So we need to send information out there, make sure that the right information, which is the right information.
I think such great points were raised today. I definitely believe, investment in education, being part of the curriculum is very important when we're trying to educate. The point is not to only educate cyclists, it's also to educate drivers. Investment in when you go to driving school, there should be something about cyclists and using the road. There should be investment in our TDSP curriculum, how that shaping minds from a young age. In terms of political will and at the provincial and federal level, I think that's really important. Talking about like incentives, as you said, and providing people with not only like electric cars, but also like you're incentivized to get on bikes instead of electric cars. I think some great insights raised, and I'm sure folks online and over here taken away a lot. I have for sure. I wanted to leave the forum open to people, questions from the audience, online or offline. Aggie, if there's for folks online, if you can read out some questions if there are any. But anyone from the audience over here has questions for our panelists? Yeah, Holly. Thanks for all. Drive down to the school or drive to school. Because that's the climate change, right? Getting into it's a
great question. Thanks so much, Kwame, for asking this. So yeah, I would start with so currently we are doing the same. Like we have some participants who comes to our program and they say, we want to ride only in the groups. We don't want to go out there and ride on our own. That's the target of our program, to empower women, right? So we encourage them by providing them some training. We boost their confidence by showing them some different examples. Like a role model is very important, I would say. Seeing people like you, and they give you inspiration to ride a bike on the road. When people see their friends and family, they are riding on the road, then they get some courage from there. Apart from self-efficacy or sense of their self-efficacy, the infrastructure is very important. Providing them with some great structure that can enable or support anyone, not even women, I would say, anyone with any ability, either they are new learner, either they are fast learner. A dedicated bike lane is very important. We don't want just painted lines on the road. We want specifically separate bike lane for our riders so that they feel comfortable moving toward like getting some poles or some clear separation between the two lanes is very important, so that people have trust, like people know, okay, so this is my line. Now nobody's going to be trespassable. I would not be expecting any driver coming over to my lane. I would not be expecting anyone who would be parking their car on my lane. So these confidence and these infrastructure changes is much needed to motivate those new riders or those hesitant riders who does not want to go out there on the road on their own. I hope I answered it.
Okay, I think that was a very good question. And we didn't really touch on biking as a means of transport. I think the question, when you said group biking, then developing the confidence to now bike alone, even as a climate change driver. Right? Not long ago, I think a group of other individuals, they wanted to start a program where you have is it a tricycle as a means of transport, okay, so that mostly to accommodate seniors. So you have someone who will ride them to, let's say, grocery shop. You can mess with your colleagues, but not mess with the senior. Right? So you start from that angle. And then if I'm driving and I'm speaking from, and I see a senior, there's a way that I hold the steering. If I see another colleague, I do the same, but the moment you see a senior, so the environment changes because you know that I'm vulnerable. Right? So we can start from there, encourage that tricycle as a means of transport, and then have the seniors put on their hat, wave everyone, drive slow the vehicles to a certain point. And then, because you need to start somewhere. If you're starting using the age bracket, and you feel that that is an age group you can tap into to be able to slow the process, that is also, so everybody becomes used to that tricycle. That, oh, okay, tricycle is associated with what? With a senior community. So even when it's as an adult or young person in a tricycle, you pay that attention that, okay, we are used to seeing seniors ride on tricycle to go to the shopping mall, to go to the grocery mall, or to go here to come buy their items. So you pay particular attention to that. Then again, we can now make it a very common means of transport. People have to pay, get on a tricycle, ride, and then get to your destination. Another point is and I think it's very common downtown area, where you have to pay, get your bicycle, ride to another location, and lock it there, and then kind of you don't have it in that part of the Rexdale community. So that is something again I think we can look at.
You had a question at the back, yeah.
Hi, thank you all so much. What has been the most surprising thing, either in a good way or a bad way? Your local advocacy get
Yeah, so for the online audience, the question was, what has been the most surprising thing, either in a good way or a bad way, to when you're advocating for change in bike protection?
Okay, for me, it was very surprising. Coming from a country like Afghanistan, that these things are like, it is in turbulent situation. Once it was a practice and then disappeared, and again it come again on cycling. But my expectation, I was also a new cyclist, but my expectation was that everything in here in Canada is by politician is understandable, you know. When we are saying good infrastructure, bike line, this is normal. This is developed country and everybody understand it, and this is a need of community, and it is part of infrastructure development. When I heard resistance, this was a big surprise for me.
Okay. So for the Rexdale Women's Center, I think our focus area is more into the programming part, vis-a-vis advocacy component. So I have little kind of experience with respect to what the shocks are, or what the important learning curves are. But what I can say is definitely my colleague shared is that here our policymakers, to some extent, they try to give you the attention, even though it is not to the level that we all want. That is again why we're having a forum like this. I'm hoping that the next forum we have is just to celebrate success, then give commendation to where commendation is. I know it's still a long way, but that is what advocacy is all about. I'm sitting right now at the advocacy chair, so that alone is an experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's strange for me advocating for biking at this forum, which looks like a very basic necessity or basic thing in our life, right? But this is very strange that we have to advocate for the rights of the biker. We have to advocate for those bike lanes, for educating people, to involve more people into this. Like, that's something I wasn't expecting. That was something since Najia mentioned, like, it's a developed country, right? There should be things in place here. But for me, like, it was really strange and new that not everybody is that much involved and that much engaged. We need outreach to involve people to come and ride with us and use this as an active, healthy mode of transportation, sustainable mode of transportation. That was something that I wanted to share.
Great. I think we've gone way over time, but I would encourage folks to send their questions to us by email. You can send this to us at my email or even info@cycle2.ca, and we can try our best to answer those questions online. Thank you everyone for coming. This has been a delight to have these panelists be a part of such an important advocacy forum, and they've shaped cycle culture in Toronto, and it is what it is today. We do have a IEC Infrastructure Environment Committee meeting coming up on July 7th.